And I think the fact that we are today a panel of people from different languages, people who are making movies in different languages, and other content, of course. The fact that there is such a panel that exists today is a sign of that change. Once upon a time when we said movies, we spoke about Bollywood. We did not even realize that that is meant to be a sort of insulting term. Bollywood is not a compliment of any kind, but we have accepted it, we've taken it to heart, and we are very proud of it. Fortunately, things have been changing. One of the big changes, of course, is that there are many more educated Indians today than there ever were before. And they are watching all kinds of content. Thanks to the pandemic and the fact that we were all locked up at home, we've all discovered that other programs in languages other than what we were used to have been extremely interesting, sometimes much better than the languages we've been used to. And I'm hoping, and I can see that there is that change, that there are people in the general audience who are willing to see films made in other languages. The fact that you know about a Gujarati film with me and Mansi in it is a big change. Once upon a time, a film made in Gujarat never made it to anyone's notice anywhere in the country. So there is much change happening, and I'm very proud to be part of the situation when there is this change happening. The other reason, of course, is that filmmakers today are infinitely more equipped than they used to be. We've been learning. We learn on the job. We've had no training institutions in this country, or practically none, except for a couple run by the government for a while, and many others run by private chaps who really can't qualify. So we don't have any notion of training people for making movies. We have been very, very poor academically in this area. But thanks to the internet, now people learn on their own. They watch what's happening world over, and they are learning every day. Kids, young kids, 17, 18, 16, pick up a camera and manage to make something. So there is that enormous change of the accessibility to resources, the cheap resources that we need today to produce any kind of content. TikTok takes no money at all. So all these things have fed into the idea that different kinds of content is acceptable to different audiences. Our mistake still, of course, is that we keep imagining that everything should be acceptable to everyone. Pan-Indian, that's our big attempt, Pan-Indian. Everything cannot be Pan-Indian. I mean, you can have an idli dosa in Kashmir. That doesn't make it a Kashmiri dish. It's just something you enjoy, a different taste, right? Similarly in movies. Films in different languages are a different flavor. Something that's talking to you about life in a place that you know nothing about. When I watch a film from Manipur, I get blown away because I'm seeing stuff that I didn't know about. The way in which people live there, the way in which they think, the way in which society is changing. Films reflect all that. So therefore, we have a fairly important role to play. And this change is wonderful, and hopefully it shall continue. Unfortunately, it has been very uneven. Gujarat in particular, since I'm speaking on that front, Gujarat in particular has had a very uneven, rough ride. Some of them have been good and acceptable to all, but some of them have been poor quality. We are going to have to bump up quality in all cinema, regional, Hindi, everything. And we are going to have to try harder to get across to a new audience. So those are the big challenges that I see ahead of us. But that films in different languages will survive, I think I'm very hopeful about that.
Yes, I think definitely, because what happens is even today, as of now, as we speak, some of the biggest television shows that get launched, they do their PR activities starting from Gujarat, because Gujarat is like a very big audience, sector for people watching entertainment content. And there are lots of films being made in Gujarat, But it's shocking that the infrastructure and the ecosystem around that industry is still, nascent. I think it's a very nascent industry because it's just literally 10 to 12 years old, so to speak. So the radio stations don't play...
The new Gujarati industry,
new
huh? The Gujarati
I'm
films
not
have been
talking
around since my mother's time.
I am
and
not
they've
talking
been
about that.
horrifying. I've seen them all.
I'm talking about the new one. And the radio stations, for example, in Gujarat, they don't play Gujarati songs. They play Hindi music. So yesterday, there is this one radio channel that we we've been in talks with, saying that you should push out more Gujarati content. They called up saying that finally the radio station has committed to playing Gujarati music 24 hours, which is a big deal, but I was like, it should have happened earlier. So to speak. So I think what happens is, like, for example, with 𝗙់_Express, of course, because I've worked in, the Hindi industry and have that kind of exposure, we were very clear that we never wanted to make it like a Gujarati film. When you make it like a Gujarati film, you're compromising because you have to make it in a certain budget. Because if you go beyond that budget, then you cannot recover. And if you cannot recover, the investors are not going to put in money in the next project that we make in. So we were very smart about it. We said that we will make it like we were making a Hindi film, in terms of, getting the right technicians on board, working on the script the way it should be worked on, doing whatever we can without any compromise. But at the same time, we will, walk that thin line between not going overboard with the expenditure. So I think because I'm also a producer and we are also kind of figuring out this whole industry, because it's changing so much every 6 months, we are kind of infusing that fresh new blood kind of feel in the industry. And a lot of people told me when we were making 𝗙់_Express, why are you making this film in Gujarati? You should be making it in Hindi. It's going to get more audiences. I said, but the soul of the film is Gujarati. It should be made in Gujarati. And because of that, people might, resonate with it when it comes on an OTT, because it has the soul intact, And yeah, so I think we are all figuring it out, and we are all wanting to make sure that it reaches the relevant people, it reaches everybody, not just Gujaratis, but people all over, so that it can be viewed as a film.
There are huge challenges for the Marathi industry, though the industry started in Maharashtra by a Maharashtrian. I mean, it's been around forever, and yet we've not really cracked the code of competition with Hindi or Hollywood, which is released all over Maharashtra, dubbed Telugu and Tamil and Kannada films. And all these things are constantly in competition with Marathi films. Another very important part of Maharashtra is Maharashtrian theatre. Now, since we can't compete with the Hindi film industry in terms of budgets because of the viability factor, so in terms of the glamour, the Hindi films will always look 100 times better, in terms of scale and glamour as compared to the Marathi films. And in terms of content, form, the kind of experimentation that is going on, which is what Maharashtrians thrive on, which is food for thought, basically, much more than the glamour part of it. It's the theatre. I mean, we have a very, very vibrant theatre scene, which people find affordable. Theatre is constantly innovating, even in the commercial space. So there is, and of course, OTT. Now you have languages from all over the world kind of, competing. You have them on your phone, you have them on your laptop. So I think as an industry, and I think Swapnil will agree with me, is that we've not been able to crack the viability code. Because if we have to dream any further than the lands that we are in, then we have to crack the viability code within our own state first. And then we can, kind of experiment with audiences all over India. So that is a challenge. There are one-off films that do exceedingly well, and suddenly people start talking of the golden age of Marathi films. So there was a 𝗵𝗵 𝗔𝗍 𝗍𝗪 which kind of even broke the records of Hindi films running at that time. Or there was a Sairat which did exceedingly well. But these are exceptions. How do we make those exceptions a rule is a question that I think industry has to come together and find a solution for. And I think we need a paradigm shift in the way we exhibit and distribute films. because there has to be space for experimentation, which is not in direct competition with the rates of a commercial Hindi or Telugu or Tamil film. Because otherwise, our films are never going to cross that barrier. Because if we are constantly faced with that kind of competition of viability and we want to do anything, then we just do not have the theaters where our films will be released or subsidized over a period of time. That, okay, fine, audience is not coming the first day, the second day, but by word of mouth, we need to increase the audience and give it time to come. Because everybody is so busy working. You know, they go back home, they see their phones and they see a lot of content on it from all over the world, like Korean, and people are talking about all sorts of films. So I think that theater going, and how do you deal with that? The paradigm shift has to be, there has to be some sort of subsidization in terms of the exhibition distribution paradigm, which I don't think we've cracked as yet, and that is the prime concern. There's another thing that I think now, because of, as you said, post-pandemic, we've kind of been introduced to a lot of other language films, which for me, as a person growing up in the 80s, very few people here might be of that age group perhaps, but it was very important at that time. We had only one channel called Doordarshan, and we used to have regional cinema from all over India shown to us every Saturday evening. And we as children were exposed to the best of the makers from all over India. So we always knew that our Indian film industry is a very rich film industry. Then a stage came when the television became very parochial and regional, and everybody started only watching the their own language films, their own language television, and suddenly then it opened up only after the pandemic. So now I think we have to regroup and redesign this whole distribution exhibition network, definitely in the Marathi space, and try to make it pan-world, not just Indian.
This is the problem of distribution exhibition has been a problem across all languages. I mean, the regional languages suffer much more severely because we have a limited and a smaller bandwidth. But Hindi films, if you try and make them anything different from the accepted norm, you're going to have trouble showing your film to anyone. And that's a problem that I remember hearing about when my mother used to act in movies in the 60s, and I'm still hearing about it 60 years later. We just didn't get it right.
Swapnil, I see you nodding your head to a lot of what Renuka ji was saying. You've also got something up your sleeve, haven't you, in terms of OTT and showcasing more content to the audience, a different, unique content.
So yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, primarily being an actor, I always wanted to, I always used to get this feeling that as an actor, most of us, we don't get to choose our scripts. I always say that the script chooses the actor. That's how I get to choose from the scripts that are offered to me. So the choice is limited or restricted to that extent. And I used to always feel and those choices have a lot of limitations in terms of the reach and the popularity and the commercial viability and so on and so forth. So I always had this thought, how can we break the chicken egg story? How can we break this loop? And I thought that the OTT is a great way forward. So yes, me and a team of like-minded people are coming together with an OTT platform. It's called One OTT.
That's great news.
Yeah. The tagline is Bharat ka apna mobile TV. So we are not even using the term OTT because I feel that OTT is very Netflix and Amazon और गांव खेड़े में रहने वाले को OTT पता नहीं है. अगर आप मेरी दादी को बोलो OTT तो वो शायद OTT वर्ड भी नहीं जानती. तो हम कह रहे हैं कि जैसे टीवी देखते हो ना आप तो आपके मोबाइल पे टीवी दिखेगा. That's how rural or that's how basic or massive we want to take One OTT to. So we are starting with Marathi, and again when I say Marathi, I'm not saying mainstream Marathi. I'm saying Konkani, I'm saying Khandeshi. So we are actually going to the dialects of the particular regional space. So we're going tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 in the commercial aspect of the term. Again, it's a dream that we're all seeing. The viability and the success is a different story. OTT is a long-term game. But yeah, so that is something that we're starting. We will be hard launching in the coming quarter. and I'm looking forward to the entire industry's support. Having said that, One OTT is just one aspect of what I do. I'm primarily an actor by choice and by passion. And I feel there's, yes, a lot of things that Ratna ji said or Renuka ji said, I was nodding because we all agree. Because Ratna ji might be acting and Mansi might be acting in Gujarati films and Renuka ji might be acting in Marathi films and I might be acting in Marathi films. But our DNA is cinema. तो जब हम सिनेमा की बात करते हैं तो हमारा पैशन एक हो जाता है. तो अगर गुजराती फिल्म चलेगी तो शायद हमको उतनी खुशी होगी जितनी मराठी फिल्म चलने पे रत्ना जी को होगी, क्योंकि सिनेमा चलना चाहिए. सिनेमा हैज़ टू वर्क. और अगर गुजराती सिनेमा कोई चीज़ सही कर रही है तो हम चाहेंगे कि हम उसको देखें, उससे सीखें और उसको यहाँ हम कैसे लागू कर पाए कि मराठी सिनेमा उससे फ़ायदे में आए. या अगर मराठी सिनेमा कोई चीज़ बेहतर कर रहा है तो हाउ कैन वी टेक दैट algorithm, try to make it regional to the other regions and apply it there so that हम उन regions के सिनेमा को कैसे बेहतर कर पाए. जैसे hypothetically मैं अभी डिस्कस कर रहा था सौरभ से, सौरभ इज हियर, सौरभ लाइक अ ब्रदर. मैं भी कह रहा था कि हम जैसे मैं सहाय साहब से भी विनती करूँगा और ये मैं ओपन फोरम में इसलिए कह रहा हूँ कि अभी मेरे बात ये दिमाग में आई है कि जैसे हम नेशनल अवार्ड्स करते हैं, अब वक्त आ गया कि OTT का एक वर्टिकल हो उन नेशनल अवार्ड्स में, क्योंकि OTT पे ओरिजिनल कंटेंट बहुत बढ़िया बन रहा है और उसकी सराहना होनी चाहिए. जैसे OTT पे कुछ कंटेंट बन रहा है जिस पे काफ़ी आक्षेप लिया जाता है, एंड अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल रेज आईब्रोज ऑन दैट, एंड दैट ऑल्सो नीड्स censorship is too harsh a word, but that needs a kind of a regulation to it. So I think it's a multi-layered problem, but at the base of it is that I would never call it regional cinema. I always maintain that it's Indian cinema. In the Marathi language, Indian cinema in the Gujarati language, and so on and so forth. So I genuinely feel that Indian cinema needs to keep reinventing itself. We've been doing it for 100 years now. And we've shown that we've stood the test of time. And every time people say, ab cinema mar raha hai, ab cinema mar raha hai, ab cinema mar raha hai, cinema sirf बढ़ रहा है. If you see year-on-year growth in terms of numbers, in terms of specifics, in terms of analytics, in any parameter that you put, cinema is growing, cinema घर बढ़ रहे हैं, cinema halls बढ़ रहे हैं, multiplexes की संख्या बढ़ रही है. And I feel entertainment is a basic need of human life. It's like food, shelter, clothing, entertainment. So the forms of entertainment keep changing, but I want to be entertained. Now, how I make cinema to be a compulsion in that form is my job as a technician in this field. कि मैं नाटक चूज करूं या मैं सिनेमा चूज करूं, तो मैं क्या करूं कि दर्शक सिनेमा चूज करे, ये मेरा काम या ये मेरी मेहनत. बट आई जेन्युइनली फील
नाटक के लिए थोड़ा सा छोड़
नहीं प्लीज नहीं बिल्कुल छोड़ दीजिए.
नाटक के मरने की भी खबर तब से सुन रहे हैं जब से आए थे.
बट मुझे लगता है कि नाटक
मर ही रहा है बेचारा.
मुझे लगता है रत्ना जी,
आप मार ही डालोगे.
नहीं रत्ना जी, मुझे लगता है कि मुझे हमेशा लगता है कि नाटक इज लाइक ब्रीदिंग. आपको करना नहीं पड़ता है, आप जिंदा हो तो इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ योर लाईफ. जैसे आज भी इफ माय मॉम सेज की काय करायचं तर ती म्हणते चल नाटकाला जाऊया.
पैसे तो देने पड़ेंगे ना. हाँ, तो आपका चॉइस अगर मिलेगा कि सिनेमा या नाटक, तो आप सिर्फ सिनेमा चूज करोगे तो हमारा प्रॉब्लम है.
I know absolutely. I think that's the struggle that we are all going to have now, क्योंकि the same struggle is between cinema and OTT. Same struggle. जहाँ लोग कह रहे हैं कि मैं थिएटर में जाके 2000 रुपया क्यों खर्च करूँ, मैं OTT पे देख लूँगा ना. So that is a struggle that is going to, that's a struggle of choices.
This is exactly what I was saying in terms of viability.
Correct.
How do we make all
this
cinema
viable?
Because the kind of ticket rates that we have today and single screens are like nearly dead in that sense. So you don't have subsidized film viewing, unfortunately. Now, that's what I said.
In fact, the point I want to make, Renuka-ji, here is one day, I think the World Cinema Day or something,
Yes.
I think all the theatres slashed prices to 100 rupees.
To 100
and how many
rupees.
people
And
went?
all the shows across all the films, across all the languages were houseful on that day.
Exactly.
Irrespective of कौन सी फिल्म चल रही है और कौन सी फिल्म अच्छी और कौन सी फिल्म बुरी है, आपने एक दिन टिकट के रेट्स नीचे किए तो a lot of people are going to give me galis later, distribute and all that, but I think it's a multi-layered problem. Creative aspect of the problem is just one aspect of it. It's a multi-layered problem. A lot of agencies will need to coexist and sit together, and I think Sahai Sahab can really help us and mentor us and guide us in the process. But I think it's a multi-layered problem. The crux of the matter is that OTT is the future. OTT is going to play a very, very important role in entertaining people. But having said that, theatre or TV or cinema is going nowhere. It is only going to be consumed across the bandwidth, and audiences across the bandwidth are going to consume all these forms of entertainment. The degree of that form might keep changing and varying, but these are all essentials of entertainment in India, and they're all here to stay.
That was incredible. I just have one question that I want to also ask. Is that, now that we're also working on different scripts and we're figuring out what next projects to do, of course, because it's Gujarati, then it's already like you dealing with the limited audience. On top of that, this whole thing that you said about how to get people to the theatres. So now even if the script is very good, the first question we ask is, will this be a theatrical or should this be an OTT? So automatically, the brain is now, we're figuring out, because financially, then how does it work? Because if it's a great script, but it's a choti story, ye OTT pe chal jayegi, ye theatrical experience nahi hai. So that's another, aspect that's added to the already different
But Mansi, my
aspects of
perspective to that is the whole idea of making cinema is a risk.
True.
The whole idea कि चलो फिल्म बनाते हैं, अपने आप में एक एक्साइटमेंट है. कोई भी आज तक जितना मुझे पता है, कोई भी मेकर, चाहे प्रोड्यूसर हो, चाहे एक्टर हो, चाहे डायरेक्टर हो, आपको लिख के नहीं दे सकता कि पिक्चर चलेगी. बिकॉज nobody sets out to make a bad project. कोई ये कहता ही नहीं ना कि चलो एक मीडियोकर फिल्म बनाते हैं. हर किसी को मोगले आजम बनानी है और अपने दिमाग में वो मोगले आजम बना ही रहे हैं. So I think our job is to just keep being at it. And we will need risk takers, which is where the money people actually come in. We will need the risk takers. We'll need somebody to take that leap of faith on somebody's vision. Because मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ कि सिनेमा एक लौती ऐसी चीज़ है, या नाटक, एंटरटेनमेंट एक लौती ऐसी चीज़ है दुनिया में जहाँ हम बिना प्रोडक्ट दिखाए लोगों से पैसे लेते हैं.
Right.
आप फ्रिज खरीदते हो तो आप 4 दुकानों में जाते हो, आप फ्रिज देखते हो, इसका ऊपर का दरवाजा खोल के देखते हो, उसका नीचे का दरवाजा खोल के देखते हो, ये ऑन करके दिखाओ, वो ऑफ करके दिखाओ, फिर 4 दुकानों में रेट निकालते हो और उसके बाद आप कोई फ्रिज या टीवी चूज करते हो. हम सिनेमा में क्या दिखाते हैं? एक पोस्टर, एक 2 मिनट का ट्रेलर, और हम आपको कहते हैं 2000 रुपए दे दो, और आप देते हैं. दैट इज द पावर ऑफ सिनेमा. और आप ये विश्वास रखते हैं कि ये एक पोस्टर या ये 2 मिनट का ट्रेलर मुझे अगले 3 घंटे तक खुशी देगा. आप जब रत्ना जी के नाटक का एक ऐड आता है तो क्या आता है? एक 4 इंच बाय 4 इंच का ऐड आता है. क्या प्रॉमिस है आपको? कोई प्रॉमिस नहीं. लेकिन आप उनका चेहरा देखते हो, आपको ये प्रॉमिस उस चेहरे में मिलता है कि ये हमको खुशी देगा. सो आई थिंक वी आर अ वेरी ब्लेस्ड इंडस्ट्री. और दूसरी मुझे एक इंडस्ट्री दिखाई है जहां मैं बिना प्रोडक्ट दिखाए लोगों से पैसे ले सकता हूं. Unless I want to thug them.
Okay.
No, I don't want to. No comments there.
I'm going to now come quickly to Mr. Sahai because he's from the INB ministry and I think a very important person here. Like a lot of points all of you have made. I think Mr. Sahai will be the right person to, throw some more light on. But Mr. Sahai, what I'd like to ask also is, are there policies that the government has brought in to help the smaller industries grow as big as the Hindi film industry, for instance?
Thank you. First of all, FICCI has this peculiar thing of putting a serried bureaucrat among such talented people. Well, it's my privilege and honor to be sitting with such great personalities. 2 of them, of course, we have all been entertained by their talent across, decades now, not years, whether on the silver screen or on the TV and now also on OTT. So it's really a privilege, man, with both of you and the young, usually talented Swapnil and Mansi. I think all of us who talk about whether the Indian languages, in fact, now we are also in the government very consciously, we don't talk about regional language, talk about Indian language. When we talk about, for instance, we have this journey of India, which we Discovery made it. It's about trying to showcase India's huge talent across sectors. It has gone to 190 countries now. And the promo was by Amitabh Bachchan, the first part. And so we worked along with the Discovery. And that also and then was we got it dubbed in the 12 Indian languages and shown on Doordarshan. So we don't now use regional language, we use the word Indian languages. Because they're Indian languages. That is very important. Now, all of us who talk about it, I go back to the maestro 𝗙𝗪𝗓. I mean, most of his movies were in Bangla. But then there is not a place in the world or any serious filmmaker who would not have learned from 𝗙𝗪𝗓's movies. So language was never a barrier and will never be a barrier as far as showcasing talent is concerned in this country and also abroad now that we are going abroad. Having said that, a couple of things. Of course, this is an industry which is largely private, and we see a lot of young talent coming up on OTT. But from the government, we have been trying to do a few things. Like 3 years back, our minister's initiative, we started this 75 Young Creative Minds at the International Film Festival of India, and we invited applications from across the country, and there were hugely talented young boys and girls, totally amateur, who made those short films. And out of that, about 5,000, 10,000 applications, a panel jury of reputed people, they selected 75 of them. They were brought all the way to 𝗂𝗽𝗱, and their talent was showcased, and they were awarded. And now we're also collaborating with Amazon so that we can get them to make some things which can go on various platforms, including on Amazon. So whatever they will make, and that would be in any language. It is nothing to do with Hindi or a particular language, any language, because we had people from Bihar, from Assam, from Tamil Nadu, all over the country. So that is one good thing. So every year we're getting this 75. So in the last 3 years now, we have 225 such young people, and they are now getting this opportunity to showcase their talent. The second thing is the NFDC now is propelling it back and trying to get into filmmaking or helping in film production. Again, it is language agnostic, any language, anybody. And we have also invited applications from good script writers to give their scripts. And we also had a special section even for Northeast, that how we can promote, because when you see movies from, I stayed in Guwahati for 3 years. I had the opportunity to watch 𝗙𝗪𝗓's movies, and it was a real thrill watching 𝗙𝗪𝗓's movies. So a few things we are doing, plus incentivizing films. Madam talked about affordability or viability. So the government, state governments large state governments have done it, but even the central government is doing that and trying to incentivize by way of giving some cash incentives and so that some aspect of the film production is taken care. And so those who do not have a large amount of funds or not able to get large funds, the government can come in and help it that way. So a few things are happening.
That's great, sir. I think that's exciting news for filmmakers, especially who don't have deep pockets, but who are extremely talented and creative. I'd like to bring in Mr. Padole, from the Madhya Pradesh Tourism Board. Sir, it's a beautiful state. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are coming there to film, for shoots and so on. Are there initiatives that you have taken to help filmmakers who come there, or even the local industry itself?
Yes. First of all, namaskar to everyone here. We would like to thank FICCI for providing us this opportunity and having Madhya Pradesh here as a state partner in this 23rd edition of FICCI Frames. So, seeing is believing. As we are talking about cinema and films, theaters, everything. So, as you have rightly said, Madhya Pradesh is a beautiful state, but you have to come and see. You have to come and check it. We have everything. We have very diversified state, very versatile state, except the coastal line. Madhya Pradesh offers you everything. We are the tiger state of India. First of all, we are the heart of incredible India, having at the center of the country. We are tiger state, having so much of wildlife there. All UNESCO World Heritage Sites, architecture, history, religion, spiritual places, Jyotirlingas, everything is there for a right script, for right subject, for anything you want to make a film. And above all, the government is very, very proactive, and we provide you all kind of assistance. Single window system is there. Tourism department is the nodal agency for providing all kind of permissions, NOCs, and ease of filming, ease of doing business. If you want to see, come to Madhya Pradesh. Most of the filmmakers who have worked in Madhya Pradesh, who have completed their projects in Madhya Pradesh, are very happy. I can say this because they are coming back to us again. So they are repeating their films, starting from great 𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗱𝗵𝗵, who had made 4 films in a row. Recently, Mr. Vikram Malhotra, 3 films in a row, and a lot of other things like television serials, web series, Panchayat, Gullak. They have 2 or 3 seasons in Madhya Pradesh. So this shows that the government is moving at the right direction. And now, since I was talking to Renuka ji, since now talents of Madhya Pradesh, they're also coming up, they're helping us, and the government is also helping them by providing them technical support also. Now, the film schools are there, training centers are there. We are providing technical supports, unskilled, semi-skilled, and skilled technicians, the gadgets, equipments, light, camera, everything. And hassle-free atmosphere where you don't have to worry about anything, no kind of pressure, and you shoot your film well on time as per your schedule. A lot of films are going on, but yes, there is also the other part or other side of the issue, the subsidies, the incentives, the discounts, which are also not a major but integral part of filmmaking and all. So the government from, Madhya Pradesh government from our side, we ensure and assure everyone, whosoever comes to Madhya Pradesh, if they are making good films, non-controversial, away from all caste, creed, religion, language, these things, we are happy to assist you, we are happy to give you subsidies up to the tune of 2 crores. Now, as Madam has said, not many big budget films will come, but yes, small pocket or small budget films are coming to Madhya Pradesh. Not only feature films, but as Ratnaji has said, theaters and other things are also happening there. Languages films. So we have a special category for now for South Indian movies. If they are coming and shooting in Madhya Pradesh, Gujarati films are being shot in Madhya Pradesh now. So we have something for all kind of these production houses, all kind of language films. We are also going to promote filming in Madhya Pradesh in various platforms, like FICCI is one of them. We are also going to Cannes. But we need people like you to represent Madhya Pradesh, to come with us to all these big platforms and tell the story, tell the situation about Madhya Pradesh, because if I say something about myself or my state, it's little less. But if you tell about your experiences of filmmaking in Madhya Pradesh, people will believe it, people will come to Madhya Pradesh. And I want to promise on behalf of my government, I want to promise everyone that you will not be disappointed.
A lot, I feel, now every state has come to the picture with subsidies, which wasn't earlier. I think earlier it was UP which has started it, and now I think Madhya Pradesh, even Delhi has, done a soft announcement of it. And, different cities and states are doing it. And it would be great to, grow on that a little more, reach out, to extents which other countries are doing, for example, like a UK, wherein the subsidies are growing, international co-productions are increasing. And I think that will again give a very big boost to the producers to go out there and make more content and reach out to the audience that they have been wanting to since so many years.
Right. Thank you so much. So I guess there are still challenges, but what the digital space has done is, really pushed Indian content across languages into the forefront and thrown the limelight on it. But one of the things that I feel is India is so rich in terms of its traditions, culture, and its stories, the storytelling. It's very, very powerful. So this is a question that I throw open to all of you. Do you think we need to start looking more at our own stories and, voicing that to the audience rather than just aping whatever's going on in the West? I think that's important.
Absolutely. There are so many stories. If I talk about Gujarat, there are incredible narratives that are waiting to come out. And what happens is that because commercially only the male narratives work, for example, with 𝗙ecie𝗹𝗶, when we did a female narrative, everybody was like, are you crazy? It's not going to make money at the box office, but it did. And that in itself, you know, the audiences are ready for it. We need to break the stereotypes. We need to dig deeper and get into, you know, the regional, I mean, the small towns and the city, small, you know, aspirations. Those are the places that we really need to tap into, absolutely.
Yeah, I have felt this for years and years, that it's strange that a country with so much variety of every kind needs to have only one kind of entertainment idea. How strange is that? And we've had the same entertainment idea for 3,000 years. We watch the same stories in every form, the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Purans. These have been our sources of entertainment across dance, music, theatre, across the country, everywhere. Suddenly today this is genuinely a new audience. And it's an audience which is wanting more of their own lives reflected in what they see. I think that's the big difference. The audience today doesn't want only fantasy. They know that life is tough. They want to see some reflection of that. So I think that's another big change. And the fact that he quickly qualified when he said South Indian, he quickly clarified. Once upon a time, we called everything south of the Vindhyas Madrasi. Right? You remember that time? So at least today we are becoming aware that India is more than just a small band of people and a small band of ideas. That wonderful diversity of India, which I'm so proud of, and that we have read in our school books forever and ever, that's something we genuinely have managed to preserve over 5,000 years of a civilization. We have kept our differences. Isn't that wonderful? But today we are so busy trying to homogenize. And movies have played a part in that. We have been aping either Hollywood or whichever we want to call. So today, we are finding our own stories, and that is the big, big revelation for me, and very, very hopeful sign for me.
Yes, I think the answer to your question is very, very simple. The answer to your question is YES, yes. It's as simple. I think we need to, and I think it's happening. As we say, it's happening. We are looking into our own cultures. We're looking into our storytelling. We're looking into our day-to-day lives and our trials and tribulations, and we are digging deeper. And the fact that Mautik was saying what he was saying is, what are these regional filmmakers? What are these young boys and girls doing? They're saying stories that they have seen or heard or visualized or experienced in and around them, and they're putting it on celluloid in one form or the other. So which is actually looking within. And as a country, I feel we are a land of storytellers. हम जब छोटे हैं तो दादी और नानी क्या करती है? हमको कहानी सुनाती है. हम देश ही कहानियों का है. We are a land of storytellers. So storytelling is never going to go out of form. The mediums will change, the form of entertainment will change, but we'll always love to hear stories and tell stories. And अगर हम अपनी कहानियाँ दुनिया को बताएंगे, then the world wants to watch us and listen to us.
Thank you so much. I hope the audience had a wonderful session. It was awesome talking to all of you. I think there's a revolution in the Indian entertainment space, and things are only going to get better. Thank you all.